There is nothing more horrific than playing video games at low FPS. And imagine getting headshots by your enemy team because you cannot keep up on how fast they go. So today I'm gonna teach you how you can improve your FPS and start getting headshots on your enemy team. My name is Vic Silver, and in this video, it's not sponsored by anyone, but by you, my beautiful viewer, that I know that will press the like button right now.
Nice.
So let's begin. When it comes down to video games, there are so many factors that can affect the performance of the games, and one of them can be the RAM. RAM refers to random access memory, which allows video games and a lot of applications to be open at the same time. The best way to choose your RAM is by checking your motherboard. Some of the motherboard only support certain frequency, 3200 MHz and so on. And you can check this by checking the manual from the motherboard. Depending on the motherboard, you can set up the RAM in single channel, dual channel, and quad channel. At the same time, the best configuration is dual channel and quad channel. But if you are in a really tight budget, you can do it a single channel too. Here's an example on how some of the games behave on 8 gigs versus 16 gigs and also on some of the frequency depending on the motherboard. Here on the 8 gigs, this game is actually struggling to get a consistent FPS without jumping up and down. And that is not playable, especially in an online video game like this. On the other hand, you can see the 16 gigs of RAM behaving a lot better in Call of Duty when it comes out for the FPS. And this can make you a better player, but at the same time, remember, you gotta practice your aim. Hard drives are really important for the performance of video games. A lot of people don't realize this because they might think that the more that they have in terms of storage, the better. Well, that's a good thing to have a lot of storage, but at the same time, you gotta keep in mind the technology that you're gonna be using for the hard drive. There's gonna be few hard drives technology. One of them is a regular mechanical drive, which is the slowest. Then you can go with the SSD, which can actually improve the performance of the video game. But the best performance that you can get inside of a hard drive, I would call it not a conventional hard drive, but it's called an M.2 or NVME drive. I wouldn't call them hard drives, but I would call them a storage. Some of this storage have a different technology of saving the video games and how they actually access all the data that you have in there. So when it comes up for large games like Call of Duty, GTA, larger games like that, your hard drive has to keep up with all the components and the storage has to read all these files from the video games. You will see that depending on the game, some of the games will take a lot longer when it comes out for loading the screen, and some of them will keep up with the FPS when it comes out to loading some of the map section and so on. The third option that we have will be overclocking. Overclocking refers to increasing the memory that you have inside of your computer. That can be for the CPU, graphics card, and the RAM as well. Each of these components have what we call a clock speed. The more you have, the more performance you're gonna have, obviously. But at the same time, there's a cost. One of the price is that your computer is gonna consume more energy. It's gonna decrease the value of the part itself over time, meaning that you're gonna apply more pressure into the actual component, and over time it can get damaged too. One of the tools that I recommend using will be MSI Afterburner. I have been using this program for a long time, for so many years, and I actually have overclocked some of my graphics card. That way I can actually increase the FPS. Video game optimization. There are a few ways that we can optimize our graphics card and the video games to have a higher FPS. I'll break it down into sections. One of them will be decreasing some of the things inside of the video game settings. In video games, you can lower the shadow quality and some other stuff like limiting the FPS. For example, if you set up the game to run at 300 FPS, obviously your graphics card and some of the components will try to catch up. So the best way is to actually match the FPS that you can get from your monitor. Most of the time I run video games on 144 Hz. That way the video game won't go past 144 and it won't waste any of the resources from the graphics card. The second option that you have for the video game optimization will be depending on the graphics card that you have. For example, if you have an NVIDIA graphics card, you can actually go with the GeForce Experience, and that way you can optimize all the games based on the graphics card that you have. Inside of GeForce Experience, you can see that there is a setting where you can actually analyze all the video games and optimize each of them depending on the specs that you have on your computer and graphics card. At the same time, you have the same options when it comes out for AMD graphics card, and that can be found on the AMD Radeon software. And well, that's the video for today, and I will appreciate if you press like on this video. That way more people can find this content and learn more about technology. That being said, see you next time.